Disaster in the air over the nation's capital.
I've been praying that there wouldn't be something like last night, but kind of dreading in my heart that there would be.
Breaking hearts, dredging up pain, and problems from the past.
It was the perfect storm of everything that could go wrong, went wrong.
Questions then and now, expanding our national investigative team's efforts, digging into aviation safety.
Does that number shock you?
Of course it does. We shouldn't have 1,800 in those years, never mind 18,000.
Putting scrutiny on a system built to figure out how accidents happen, with our work pinpointing failures that had paved the way for future tragedies.
I think there's nothing that you can do that's more important than figuring out why it happened and don't let it happen again.
Investigate TV, shining a light on issues that went uncorrected after crashes across the country.
It's outrageous. It's our government not serving us.
Examining hundreds of government reports dating back decades, exposing serious issues with how aviation accidents are investigated.
If the NTSB does not have people at these crashes that have fatalities, something is broken.
Uncovering recommendations designed to save lives, delayed or ignored as additional crashes claimed more lives.
Want to do something about it? Adopt the recommendation of the NTSB. You'll save lives.
Finding close calls and near misses reported again and again by people in the cockpit and in air traffic control towers, with the red flags they raised often disregarded.
But there's negligence on the part of many of our so-called leaders that have seen these problems and not addressed them.
This is Up in the Air. Here's Josie Sturman.
A military helicopter on a routine training mission. A regional jet bringing ice skaters, families, and business people back to the nation's capital. A series of mistakes and a history of systemic failures brought them together on a collision course above the icy Potomac River. What happened in the January crash at Reagan National Airport claimed 67 lives and renewed attention on aviation problems that have plagued the country for decades. But even before that fateful night, our national investigative team was already months into an investigation, digging into issues into how incidents like the DC crash are investigated. That tragedy sent us deeper into an examination of the nation's aviation system, uncovering major red flags that had been ignored and recommendations designed to save lives that had been disregarded. Using government records, investigation reports, and decades worth of data, we discovered federal agencies, members of Congress, and multiple administrations have consistently turned a blind eye to serious problems that have been well known and documented, leaving the safety of the flying public up in the air.
From the wreckage pulled up from the icy waters of the Potomac in Washington, D.C., to the clues buried deep down in the fractured pavement of Philadelphia. As the nation mourns devastating aviation crashes, investigators from the National Transportation Safety Board are picking up the pieces.
From tragedy, we draw knowledge to improve the safety for us all. That's what we're doing right now.
Any aviation accident investigated by the NTSB is the unraveling of a series of seemingly small decisions, malfunctions, or mistakes that can ultimately break apart not just an aircraft, but the ties that bind families together.
Our family chain was destroyed. You know, a big link was shattered, but we have hope that one day we will all be together again.
Faith in the future is what keeps Mary Hummer from dwelling too much on the pain of the past. But for nearly 20 years, her family has been tethered together by grief, carrying the weight of questions that started the day her big brother was killed.
I just remember my husband turning the TV on and seeing the accident, and I know no matter how long it is, you still get teared up. He just said, you better call Karen and see where he is.
He was Charlie Likens, an avid golfer. He decided to skip around to catch an earlier plane to join his wife and kids in Florida. It was a fateful decision that would separate them forever.
It was definitely the most tragic thing that's ever, we've had tragedies with friends and family, but it's hard to put into words what it's like having someone in a plane crash.
It was the 2006 crash of Comair Flight 5191 in Lexington, Kentucky.
West side of the runway was a Comair regional jet taking off.
Records show that after attempting takeoff on the wrong runway, one that was too short, the plane ran off the edge. It crashed through the perimeter fence and trees and burst into flames, killing 49 of the 50 people on board.
It was the perfect storm of everything that could go wrong. Went wrong, and if any one thing had been different, it probably would have changed the outcome.
As with many investigations, the NTSB did issue recommendations designed to improve safety and prevent tragedies. Their work after Comair led to reforms on everything from runway markings to air traffic controller fatigue prevention. But accomplishing that, we found, involved lengthy negotiations between the NTSB and FAA, with recommendations left up in the air, unresolved for years. It's something we've seen again and again in federal aviation records, and a problem experts say continues to this day.
With several hundred recommendations open for aviation, you want to do something about it? Adopt the recommendation of the NTSB. You'll save lives. Get off and do something. I don't want to have to meet with another set of those parents like that again. It's not fair. Could be your family.
Our national investigative team, with our partners at the Arnold Center for Investigative Journalism, decided to do an exhaustive analysis of NTSB aviation recommendations dating back to the start of the century. Since 2000, we've found the agency has issued nearly 1,400 directives specific to the FAA.
Former NTSB board member John Golia says recommendations are voluntary but powerful.
Yes, they do hold weight. You have to exercise it.
NTSB has getting action on most of its recommendations after working with the FAA. But we discovered about 1/4, more than 350, have been closed without the requested remedies, ranging from making pilot background and training records searchable to be certain they're safe to fly, to requirements that weights on certain aircraft are measured and logged before takeoff. Another nearly 200 recommendations are still open, including one from the Miracle on the Hudson about emergency procedures. Others calling for more oversight of living history flights, helicopter tours, skydiving operations, and hot air balloon rides. Despite the FAA taking actions that it believes address safety concerns, the NTSB has labeled the responses on those recommendations and more than 50 others unacceptable.
Why is it that the NTSB is saying, hey guys, we should be doing this, but the FAA isn't implementing those instructions, that guidance that they've given them?
Because there's two sets of rules in the government. The NTSB doesn't look at the financial consequences of what we recommend.
NTSB is an independent, no oversight. They make the calls, they can recommend anything they want. Those recommendations come to the FAA. But there's a big difference.
The FAA wouldn't talk with us despite repeated requests since last year. But as a former FAA administrator, Randy Babbitt knows the distinction well. Those NTSB recommendations landed on his desk, with competing interests impacting solutions as the disasters weighed on his conscience.
I get the emotional side of it. You're up close to, right there with the, right heartstrings, the aftermath and the families. I mean, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And it's not for lack of wanting to do it. It's the system that is built to protect it. Sometimes those protections slow you down.
Slowed by congressional mandates and priorities, impact studies, and industry input from stakeholders including the airlines, pilot unions, and aircraft manufacturers. But the biggest hurdle, Babbitt says, is cost. It's a factor we found in the correspondence for dozens of NTSB recommendations that haven't been adopted. That's because before it can make any new safety rule, the FAA is legally required to do a cost analysis to prove the benefits of change outweigh the price.
I completely understand when people say, well, I don't care what it costs. Well, parts of the government do care, and that's where the conflict comes in.
And our team found the back-and-forth battle can be fought for years, with the NTSB echoing the same concerns even as more deadly accidents occur. After a 2015 crash into an Ohio apartment building, killing 9, the NTSB recommended installing data recorders in charter planes and helicopters and creating flight monitoring programs to identify unsafe practices. The FAA claimed the cost benefit was $0. But for years, the NTSB reiterated its request again and again, following crashes that killed 19 people in Alaska, Hawaii, and California, including the tragedy involving Kobe Bryant. In January, the FAA agreed the recorders and monitoring provide beneficial information, but pointed again at cost, saying current programs and technology meet safety needs.
How would you respond to people who believe that with some of these recommendations, cost is prioritized over safety?
All you can really say, if you're at the FAA, is you need to understand the constraints that we operate under and the way the laws are set in this country.
A country, Babbitt points out, that is known as the gold standard in aviation, safely flying millions of people daily and going more than a decade without a significant disaster. But even Babbitt knows that's little comfort to those whose lives have been broken into pieces, now kept under glass.
Oh, that little with a C on it, that's a piece of the airplane that someone gave me. And my friend's dad stamped a C on it.
Mary Hummer hopes one day the debate over safety recommendations will move faster, focusing less on the cost of change and more on the people who could pay the ultimate price.
I think there's nothing that you can do that's more important than figuring out why it happened and don't let it happen again. You know, you have the opportunity to make a difference and to make changes, and it doesn't seem like it's a moving a mountain kind of change. It's just putting some pressure on to make small changes happen that can make huge results in many, many people's lives.
In the last 15 years, the NTSB has investigated more than 100 accidents, some of them deadly, with ties specifically to another pain point in American aviation: air traffic control. Our dated system has been plagued by problems, which made major headlines after a communication blackout at Newark International Airport. That incident sent our team digging into a government safety reporting system that tracks incidents flagged by pilots and air traffic controllers who've seen these problems firsthand. Those reports we found detail near collisions, massive technology problems, workload concerns, and more. Over the last 15 years, we uncovered hundreds of incidents that critics believe were largely ignored.
Runway 28 right, taxi via Alpha.
When you're playing traffic cop for airplanes across the nation.
United 827, Academy Ground Information, Julia, current advisory, have it.
People like Matthew Schofield know you leave very little up in the air.
When I plugged in, I was the alpha male. I told planes where to go. That's what you have to do.
He spent decades as an air traffic controller.
And when you step in front of these controls, does it feel like home? Are you in your comfort zone?
It does make me smile, I'm not gonna lie. It can be hair-raising, it can be satisfying, it can be terrifying. Temperature's 24, dew point 23, altimeter 2986.
Schofield is no longer riding the highs and lows of time in the tower. His feet are firmly planted on solid ground in a classroom built to look like one at Nashua Community College in New Hampshire. That's where a team is gearing up to teach the next generation of controllers.
All the equipment you see in front of you, even the screens, is something that you would see in an air traffic tower. You have your frequency board, you have your weather indicators, your runway and taxiway light setups.
If it happens in real life, they can run the scenario here, training for everything from changes in weather to distractions on the runway.
You hit the red light, he goes around.
Even the whole communication system disappearing from their screens.
Here we're able to simulate it, stop it, talk about it. So God forbid this does happen in real life. Again, you got that tool in your box. Hopefully you use it.
It's a critical lesson at a time when mistakes and problems in the real world have put aviation safety under an intense microscope.
The fact is, an aging system poses an untenable risk to safety.
That scrutiny started in January with the deadly crash between a military helicopter and a commercial flight that killed 67 people at Washington, D.C.'s Reagan National. The tragedy shining a harsh spotlight on air traffic controller shortages that have plagued the system since the 1980s. And in the months since, a series of outages in major towers across the nation, including a 90-second blackout in Newark, are once again drawing attention to the system's dated technology.
Do you think that this is the tipping point?
This does appear to be the tipping point. The fact that we've lost those people needlessly. We've had all these meltdowns in not just one location. We can no longer kick the can down the road, as the saying goes. We need to sit and fix the problem.
They're issues John Golia knows have plagued the air traffic control system for decades. He saw them up close as a member of the National Transportation Safety Board, investigating aviation crashes. Now he's seeing them again, looking at the findings of our national investigation, which examined NTSB reports and data dating back to 2010.
Time to deal with it.
In that time frame, our team found the agency investigated at least 135 accidents or incidents where air traffic control was listed as a cause or contributing factor. Those include close calls as well as mid-air or runway collisions, at least 40 where people were killed.
But there's negligence on the part of many of our so-called leaders that have seen these problems and not addressed them.
Problems that have also been highlighted again and again in stunning reports to the Aviation Safety Reporting System, which allows pilots and air traffic controllers to confidentially log safety incidents with the government. In the last 15 years, our team found more than 18,000 reports involving air traffic control.
Does that number shock you?
Of course it does. We shouldn't have 1,800 in those years, never mind 18,000. Right? And that's just an indication of, A, the system is overloaded.
Pushed to its limits, as evidenced by recent stories we uncovered in the system. Pilots reporting being forgotten by air traffic control in busy traffic as they headed straight toward a mountain. A plane forced to go around seconds before landing after hearing another flight cleared for takeoff, with the tower asking, "I forget, did I clear you to land?" And a near collision between an air carrier crossing the runway and a landing plane forced to abort just 50 feet from touchdown. The controller reportedly working multiple positions at once. And it's not just those in the air sounding the alarm. Controllers have logged thousands of reports about incidents related to workload and faulty technology, including an incident involving a plane needing priority handling that couldn't get help because the controller says they didn't have the resources, calling out the unsafe working environment and mental health strains of the job. A situation involving problematic radar that led to a near collision that weighed heavily on a controller who wanted to leave sick but said there was no staffing to cover, saying management doesn't address the extreme stress and fatigue workers feel. And a controller blaming a total lack of radar in complicated airspace near Seattle for nearly causing a mid-air crash. Writing, "We are going to watch a lot of people die one day, and I hope I am not working when it happens."
It makes you emotional to think about it, the strain the system is under and the sacrifices these people are making up in the tower.
I talked to some of those people. I felt it.
What did they tell you?
I felt their pain.
They feel the weight of the world on their shoulders?
Of course they do. Of course they do.
As air traffic control shoulders the burden and stress, the Department of Transportation and Congress are feeling the pressure on damage control to fix the system and reassure the public.
I do want to stress, our airways are safe.
Representative Sam Graves, who chairs the House Transportation Committee, is trying to make them even safer, shepherding a plan through Congress that will fund a massive overhaul of the nation's air traffic control system. The plan, laid out by Transportation Secretary Duffy, would pour billions into new radar, telecommunications, and guidance systems in towers across the country.
The analogy is kind of like, trying to change your spark plugs on your car while you're driving down the street. You can't just shut the system down, overhaul it, and then turn it back on again. We have to continue to operate.
And have air traffic controllers at the ready. Although the current plan does include funding to recruit and train controllers, many worry it's not enough to fill staffing shortfalls. And the preparation needed to handle traffic in the tower doesn't happen overnight.
United 27 Academy Tower, hold short traffic landing.
Matt Schofield knows that better than anyone. Back at Nashua Community College, he gave us just a quick lesson of what life is really like at the mock controls.
Runway.
28 right.
28 right. Clear for takeoff.
There you go.
It's stressful even when the stakes are non-existent. That's why Schofield says it's critical students get years of training, settling into every possible scenario they could see, learning to protect the flying public through basic instinct.
It's personal.
Absolutely. It should be. You have the lives of hundreds of people in your hands and millions of dollars in aircraft at any given time. We want to teach the next generation to be better than us, to keep us all safe.
A massive budget bill that passed through Congress and has now become law has funneled billions of dollars to jumpstart those air traffic control improvements. But funding is still needed elsewhere to ensure aviation safety. For years, the NTSB has worked without all of the money or manpower it needs to fulfill its mission. And we discovered that means some parts of what are supposed to be independent investigations are actually left to another agency that's come under scrutiny for its lack of oversight.
Whether it's the cargo ship bridge collision in Maryland, the Alaska Airlines in-flight emergency, or the East Palestine, Ohio train derailment, when disaster strikes on the rails, the road, in the water, and in the air, it's investigators bearing 4 letters who are tasked with figuring out what went wrong.
It's essentially unraveling a mystery every time.
It is.
For decades, the NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board, has been responsible for pulling the threads. The federal agency was created as an independent watchdog, deliberately separate from the FAA and with a specific mission: to investigate and make recommendations to prevent future accidents. The agency charged by Congress to investigate every aviation accident in America.
Yeah, we called Genesee County Sheriffs. They're on the way.
But as it balances budget and staffing challenges, our national investigative team discovered the NTSB is often MIA from a critical piece of crash investigations: the on-scene response.
Did it surprise you that the NTSB did not send someone on site?
I couldn't believe it.
On October 2nd, 2020, Ellen Sturm was supposed to be hosting a birthday party with her longtime love, Steve Barnes. Before it even got started, a plane crash had her planning his funeral.
When I picked up my cell phone, my brother was like, "Oh, Ellen, like, oh, you're okay." And I just knew from his voice.
Barnes, a prominent attorney and pilot, had gone to pick up his niece, Liz, in his private plane.
Everything okay up there?
Yes, sir. Fine.
5 minutes after a transmission captured his last words of reassurance, his plane went down in a wooded area near the Buffalo airport, killing the pair on contact.
Just a tremendous person. Both of them. It's just like the 2 brightest lights extinguished.
The crash, by law, automatically igniting a federal investigation by the NTSB. But although the agency was at the helm, it wasn't on the ground. They blamed COVID, although federal policy said mission-critical travel was allowed. So the on-site investigation duties, things like examining the crash site and looking through the wreckage, were left to the FAA, which did respond in person. Members of Congress called on the NTSB to examine the Barnes crash site itself, but no agency staff made the trip.
It was profoundly heartbreaking. It felt like nobody really cared enough to really look into what happened.
Do you think that the NTSB can effectively investigate aviation crashes from a distance?
Oh, no, absolutely not. No.
But our national investigative team discovered arm's-length investigations are a fairly common practice for the NTSB, even in cases where people are killed. With help from our partners at the Arnold Center for Investigative Journalism at Indiana University, we analyzed data from the agency's accident reports dating back to 2015. Our team found NTSB investigators didn't respond on scene to an average of at least 21% of fatal aircraft crashes each year.
Some reports outlined a clear reason for investigators not to go. Things like pilot suicides, crashes into the ocean, or remote dangerous terrain that made examining wreckage impossible. Others had witnesses, video or radio recordings that gave the NTSB solid leads on a potential cause without seeing the scene. But that's not always the case.
We found NTSB investigators have still played telephone in dozens of fatal crash investigations, from Arizona to California and Texas, relying on FAA investigators to be their eyes and ears on the ground.
What do you think is missed if these on-site investigations are not done and this is delegated to somebody else?
Oh, it's the detail. It's the detail. You need to really have people that are focused on the subject at hand.
John Golia is a former NTSB board member. He's now raising concerns about the agency directing investigations using FAA staff from afar.
The FAA people go through an accident investigation course, but they don't do accident investigations for their full-time job. It is an extra duty for their inspectors. I know lots of them that try to do their best, but they're not doing it full-time.
And our team found evidence of big differences between the training and experience levels required for investigators working for the two agencies. Questions we raised about that and the lack of agency response to some specific deadly crashes we cited went unanswered by the NTSB.
I think most people, if they looked at this picture as a whole, would say the problem is not at the NTSB, it's not at the FAA. It rests with the people who allocate the resources for the job that they want done.
Resources are a real challenge. The FAA has more than 40,000 employees. The NTSB, about 400, roughly the same number they've had since the 90s, going decades without significant increases in funding to help them expand despite repeated pleas.
The NTSB needs the resources to carry out our vital safety mission.
That mission? Investigating approximately 1,200 aircraft accidents each year, with only about 50 on-scene investigators.
Now, ideally, if we had 1,000 investigators, we could launch to, 1,000 accidents. That's not realistic. So what we need to do as a board is to utilize the resources that we do have.
That's why Joe Sedor, the NTSB's chief technical advisor, says even when there's a fatality, the agency has to make strategic decisions about whether putting its own investigator in the field is necessary or if another party can handle it.
We have an assessment process that we do every single time, because as we say, it's chaos management.
That management extends well beyond those first moments following a crash. The records we looked at show NTSB investigations continue for months or even years, looking at evidence, interviewing people, doing testing. All of that requires manpower. Sedor says the most efficient way to make it happen may be using FAA staff on the front end of some cases.
We'll have a direct contact with the investigator that goes, and it will be a collaborative effort of deciding what to do.
But it's that collaboration that has some critics sounding alarms about the NTSB and FAA being too close for comfort. The FAA has its own mission, along with a growing list of questions to answer about oversight in the wake of the Boeing scandals and Alaska Airlines door incident.
It's a matter of trust, but it's also a matter of having that disconnect, making sure that the NTSB is disconnected from the FAA, because you want people to have faith in the system. Right now, there's no faith in the system.
David Williams with Taxpayers Protection Alliance believes separation is key. That's why he says his organization is joining the call for more NTSB funding so the agency can be truly independent.
If the NTSB does not have people at these crashes and fatalities, something is broken.
Yeah, it's outrageous. It's our government not serving us.
For Ellen Sturm, it's a failure to deliver answers for her family, to close the chapter on a mystery that continues to haunt them almost 4 years after the crash that killed Steve and Liz Barnes. The NTSB's final report lists the probable cause of the crash as a failure to maintain control of the airplane for undetermined reasons.
Why did it drop from the sky? I still don't feel like I know.
If they had been there on site and still provided the same conclusion, would it bring you any comfort?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
The NTSB asked Congress for more than $150 million in funding to help them get to full staffing and provide more resources, but they didn't get it all. Still, the agency is continuing to work to pinpoint the cause of the crash at Reagan and will likely issue safety recommendations. Will they be taken? That remains to be seen. But our team will be keeping a close eye on what happens and holding those involved accountable. I'm Josie Sturman. Thanks for watching.